We all know the story, or at least we think we do. On April 15th, 1912, the RMS Titanic struck an iceberg and sank in the frigid waters of the North Atlantic.
After more than a century, the Titanic hitting an iceberg and sinking in April 1912.
New digital scan of the Titanic has offered
of the infamous Titanic shipwreck.
Scientists have even seen the iceberg damage that doomed the Titanic.
Over 1,500 people lost their lives, and the tale became legend. Movies, books, documentaries all pinned the blame on that one hulking chunk of ice. But what if we told you that the iceberg was just the final straw? In this video, we're diving deep, way deeper than the Titanic's wreck, to uncover the real reasons behind one of history's most infamous maritime disasters. From engineering flaws to corporate greed and even a fire burning in the ship's belly before it ever set sail, the story is far more complex and far more human than most people realise. This is the real reason the Titanic sank. The Titanic wasn't just a ship, it was a floating symbol of industrial might and modern luxury. Built by the White Star Line and constructed in Belfast, it was one of 3 Olympic-class liners designed to dominate the transatlantic market. At over 880 feet long, with a gross tonnage of 46,000, it was the largest moving object ever built at the time, and it was marketed as practically unsinkable. But from the beginning, there were signs that corners were being cut. Some steel and rivets used in the Titanic's hull were of inferior quality. Metallurgists who later studied the wreck found high levels of slag in the steel, making it brittle in cold water. And the wrought iron rivets used in the bow, the area that struck the iceberg, were especially weak. Worse, the ship's design prioritised aesthetics over safety. The Titanic had 16 watertight compartments, but the bulkheads didn't extend all the way to the top. This meant that once a few compartments filled, water could spill over like a sinking staircase. And then there were the lifeboats, only 20 for over 2,200 people. Why so few? Because more lifeboats would have cluttered the deck and spoiled the view. One of the most shocking revelations to emerge in recent decades is this: the Titanic may have been doomed before it even left port. In the weeks leading up to its maiden voyage, a coal bunker fire broke out deep in the ship's hull. Coal fires were not uncommon on steamships, but this one was particularly stubborn. It burned for days, weakening a crucial part of the ship's starboard side, right where the iceberg would later strike. Photographic evidence taken before departure shows a dark streak along the hull. Some experts believe this was evidence of the fire's damage. The White Star Line knew about the fire but decided to sail anyway. After all, cancelling the maiden voyage of the world's most anticipated ship would have been a PR disaster. So they covered it up. The crew was instructed to keep the fire under control, but they couldn't put it out completely. When the Titanic hit the iceberg, that weakened section of the hull may have buckled more easily, accelerating the flooding. The night of the disaster, there were so many chances to avoid tragedy. The Titanic received multiple iceberg warnings from nearby ships, but those warnings were either ignored or never relayed to the bridge. Why? The ship's wireless operators were busy sending personal messages for wealthy passengers. That was their real job, not safety communication. When the iceberg was finally spotted, the officer on watch ordered the ship to turn and reverse, a manoeuvre that slowed its ability to steer quickly. A head-on collision might have been safer. After the collision, the crew was slow to react. Lifeboats weren't filled to capacity. Some were launched half empty. Passengers in third class were delayed by locked gates, a tragic consequence of class separation on board. And then came the final insult. The SS Californian, a nearby ship, saw the Titanic's distress rockets but didn't respond. Its wireless operator had gone to bed. In the aftermath, the world was shocked. How could the most advanced ship in the world sink on its first trip? Investigations were launched on both sides of the Atlantic, and slowly, the truth emerged. Yes, the iceberg was real, but the Titanic was brought down by a chain of avoidable human errors. Poor materials, bad design, and sheer arrogance. New safety regulations followed, including enough lifeboats for all passengers and 24-hour radio monitoring. The International Ice Patrol was formed to keep watch for icebergs in the North Atlantic. But the deeper lesson: even the greatest technology can fail when pride gets in the way of caution. So the next time someone says, "The Titanic sank because it hit an iceberg," you'll know the truth. It wasn't just the iceberg, it was fire, it was steel, it was classism, it was overconfidence, it was a cascade of mistakes. And maybe that's why the Titanic still fascinates us more than a century later. It's not just a shipwreck, it's a mirror, reflecting our best ambitions and our worst blind spots. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as mind-blowing as we did, hit that like button, subscribe for more untold history, and tell us in the comments, what do you think really sank the Titanic?